swim around in these waters.
Nope, that's our guest, not me. Hey, there we are. Hey, welcome back to Modern Art Blitz. Do you know that this is episode 53, part 2? We've been on over a year now. It's crazy. This is every Sunday. Working. I'd like to introduce my next guest. He's just a legend and a veteran of the Los Angeles art scene from back when there were stagecoaches taking people to gallery openings. That's how long this guy's been in the LA art scene. Ladies and gentlemen, the inimitable Pierre Picot. How you doing, Pierre?
I'm fine. Thank
oh,
you.
Wow. We got a live, man, everybody loves you. Everybody loves you. How you doing, man? Good?
Going well. Just landed a few days ago, so somewhat jet lagged.
Still a little jet lagged?
But, carrying on.
Now, you just landed because you live?
In France, in Brittany.
In Brittany, France. So, shh. We've got a huge studio audience today. They're all fans of Pierre. And they're talking about him. Okay, so Pierre, how long ago, when did you first set foot into the Los Angeles art scene?
Well, I suppose right after I graduated from school, from Cal Arts. But actually I left and went back to France after Cal Arts.
Oh!
And a year later I came back and dabbled in the art world and also in the work world.
What year was that?
Graduated in 1973, came back to America in 1974, and actually had my first show in 1980.
1980?
Yeah.
So that's 6 long years slogging in the trenches of the LA art world before you got your first show. There's people now, if they come into the LA art world, if they don't get a show in the first 6 months, they're out of here.
Yes, indeed.
What's up with that?
Spoiled children.
Ah.
But I wasn't doing. I was working in magazines, and I wasn't doing the kind of abstract work which was so prevalent in Los Angeles.
Back in the 70s.
Back in those days, and I was doing figurative work, and then came along punk music, and I was part of that because of the imagery that I was using.
What imagery were you using that was so punk?
Oh, angry young men and women wearing leopard skin jackets with crazy, wonderful haircuts, and
that kind of describes present day America, doesn't it?
And pink shoes.
Yeah. Oh, and pink shoes. Oh, those are out. That definitely dates you.
So it was the spirit of that music was exactly the kind of spirit that I felt was part of my work. And
now, tell the truth. You're talking about the punk era. You weren't part of the disco era, were you?
Well, I love disco music.
Wow. I was trying to give you some street cred there, man. You blew that one. I was giving you a softball. Woof! Okay.
I remember a few years ago I was in Larchmont Village and waiting to get a juice from the juice counter, and there was this disco music playing, one of those major hits. And there must have been about 10 people in line, and they were all just...
Yeah, we all remember it, but we all deny it.
And they were all into it and loving it. And I thought, well, people publicly hate but privately love so many things, and disco was certainly one of them.
What is your guilty pleasure? What is the thing you love that you don't want to, that you're like, a little embarrassed to admit, like Disney or Hello Kitty?
Frankly, I'd like to say that I have no guilty pleasure. I have no guilt about having pleasure.
You're French. You have no guilt about pleasure. Well, okay.
People have this guilty pleasure and say, well, I'm going to have this chocolate eclair today. I feel so guilty about it. We don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel guilty about it.
Just have the damn eclair.
Yes, have to.
Even if you're gluten-free, just do it.
Gluten-free.
Hey, man. Good cure for arthritis. Watch it, pal. So now we first met, it's been many years. I think it was about 86?
Probably.
About 1986. You want to tell the story?
I know exactly. I was just talking to my wife Wendy about it. We met at MoCA, at the Temporary Contemporary.
At the Temporary, very good.
And
when Grand Avenue first opened in November of 86.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was, I was there with a class from Art Center.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to them all about a Robert Ryman painting.
Okay.
And but the reason why I was able to explain about it well, I thought, was I had read a great article in the New Yorker
About Robert Ryman.
about Robert Ryman.
Now, Robert Ryman, for those of you who don't know, is an artist who has only used one color in his art, and that would be the color white. So you get these white squares, maybe there's a little brush work. So the painting is actually about the most minute movement of the brushwork or the clean surface, but it's always white. Sometimes there's gooey white impasto, usually not. At the individual show, which was a show.
I think there was just one or two paintings of his.
I think it was a room with four. I think there was 4 or 6 in this weird installation. Yeah.
People were perplexed, and I came up with this possible explanation or rationalization for that kind of work. And afterwards, you came up to me and said, "I really dug that. I mean, that was really right on the money."
I think I might have been a little buzzed, but I think I jumped up and I said, "Students, this guy knows his shit. You just learned." So then, but as I recall, later that night, it was a Thursday, and I'll tell you why. I was in downtown, specifically at the museum, to see the show, but also to go hang out at Al's Bar. And they had a no talent night, and at the time I used to get up and make live painting while this band performed. So I had met you and your students there, and then here's this cool teacher. He takes them to the museum to see the show, and then he takes the students out to a bar to see No Talent Night. And I was like, when I saw you, I was like, hey, I just saw you. I was like, this guy's got to be the coolest guy. He's taking his students to see No Talent Night after it's to see like the individual show at MoCA. So right away, I was like, I got to keep an eye on him. I didn't even know you were an artist at the time. I thought you were an intellectual. Then I found out you were an artist, so I was disabused of that notion.
Or as one of my ex-students said, you don't look, he was Chinese, so I have to mimic the accent, but you don't look like artist, you look like lawyer.
Wow. Stay away from...
Well, no. I would wear a shirt and tie and a suit to my classes just to throw a stick in the wheel of regular teaching.
Oh, now most art teachers wearing the paint spattered jeans and
there was that moment.
The dirty T-shirts but it's gotten all so professional now, don't you think?
Yes, indeed.
Can you give us some perspective of the art world today and what it is lacking from the glorious times of your misspent youth?
Gosh, I don't know what to say, but I think that younger generation seems to take things so very seriously, at the same time expect to be extremely successful in the way that the media proposes success in the art world to be. And I've had the opportunity to not be successful, and I know that I was always more interested in living a certain kind of life with the, how do you say it, the after effects of making art as the outcome of having a successful life.
Isn't it far more enjoyable to be not successful than successful?
I think it's easier to be not successful than to be successful. I think you don't have the responsibility that certain artists have suffered incredibly because of their success.
It can be a lot of work.
It's huge work, it's huge responsibility, it's Mike Kelly's name just comes up, being a victim of your own success and being incapable of sustaining and tolerating the pressures that come with that.
And then the slightest failure, just everything cracks.
Yeah.
So and you knew Mike?
I knew him, yes. I knew him through Art Center.
You taught at Art Center at the same time with him?
Yes.
But now the minute he started making some real bank, he was done with teaching.
I think he stayed around for a while. Then he eventually maybe he taught at UCLA, but I think he stopped and it
was a lot of work to be that successful.
He had to produce.
Yeah.
Yes.
So who in the LA art scene, maybe like yourself, have you come across that is the artist who really should have been like the greatest artist and got no acclaim or less acclaim than you thought was proportionate to who should be having the museum retrospectives that you've come across over the years? Besides you, of course, if you're out there, museum curators, and you're saying, who's an interesting guy? Pierre Picot.
I'll say my friend John Sonsini.
John Sonsini?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think John's a great artist. I've known him since college. I actually purchased a painting of his when he had his first show in his parents' garage, which he laid out as a small white space. And I bought a painting from him at that time.
You realize how many galleries, when they watch this, how many galleries are going to open? My mom and dad have that garage with the white walls. Why didn't I think of this already? Yeah.
But I think John has a real focus.
Hasn't he been? The focus is the same. Wasn't he painting the same model for like 20 years?
The same gene pool.
The same. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Well, fair enough.
But that's what he loves and whom he loves, and so that's been his focus. Yeah.
And do you still own the Sonsini you bought?
I still have that painting and many more. Actually.
Really? Oh, really?
We've done trades.
Wait. So you're not doing this to influence the market to sort of like? No.
I'm pumping up.
You're pumping up the market. He's going to get that museum show. Sell. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So do you feel the marketplace ruins a lot of artists?
I really can't say. I really can't say.
You haven't witnessed people that you wish, like, come on.
There's some people who have disappeared into another social stratosphere because of the success.
Okay.
And have left some artists behind. Friends behind.
So, and your work, you said you were figurative when everybody was abstract. Did you change and become abstract when everybody was figurative, or?
No. I think there was a spirit in the air in the late 1970s that some people understood, which was a kind of wild figuration. They felt that it was a change from what the prevalent subject matter or lack of subject matter that was going on, which was kind of a post-conceptual and post-painterly abstraction.
Just the rigid lines and
grids and things like that.
And you attribute and now you line this up with punk historically, yes?
I do, yeah.
It's the visual representation that the punk movement was more musical.
It was the energy behind that painterly work paralleled the activity and the energy of the punk movement. I know that when I first heard, and I can't say whom it was, if it was the Ramones or if it was Talking Heads or, words fail me, but I thought, I recognize that immediately. I recognize the attitude immediately. And
you wanted to go there deeper.
And I went there deeper, yeah. And people started picking up on it, and it was a worldwide movement in terms of, post free figuration in France, new figuration in the United States, new expressionism, neo-expressionism. That was kind of a worldwide thing. It lasted a few years, and then it kind of fizzled. Right?
It just fizzled?
I think.
What went wrong?
I think people were dismayed / afraid of that kind of wild human energy that they couldn't control or couldn't understand or pigeonhole inside specific theories. And they went back immediately within 3-4 years to Peter Halley, new geometry, neo-geo, that kind of work, and people just jumped happily into it.
Because it was rigid, defined.
You could really talk about it in structural terms.
Where do we find freedom in art now that punk is dead 30 years later?
I think we find freedom in art in our own existence, in our own life, certainly outside of the circles of art. I think outside of art culture, traditional art culture.
But the traditional art culture would be like the mediation of the institution, the mediation of the academy. Do artists need to go to art school now? Is life enough of an art school now?
I think certain people need art school.
But it's not for everyone?
We were in Paris a few months ago, and we went to an outsider art fair. At which the Good Luck Gallery in Chinatown.
In Chinatown, yeah, they were there. She went to all the way to Paris.
And we were there, and for that whole time that we were there, I would say my mouth was hanging open in awe and in amazement at the work that I was seeing. Not all of it, but most
of the outsiders.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
One could then juxtapose that with going to a graduate school group show. Does your jaw hit the ground at all?
No. you know, I like to use the example of a guy like Sean Scully.
Oh yeah, Sean Scully, a great
And,
painter.
You know, I couldn't be more bored with that kind of work.
I just said he was a great painter, and he couldn't be more bored. But he's a painter's painter.
You know, yeah, right. Well, he makes these patterns, you know.
He's really popular with the communist Chinese, you know.
Is he really?
Oh yeah, really. And then they said, oh well, you're kind of in bed with them, and he really had a big tirade about that.
Really?
Like I am an artist, and I'm not going to put up with that. Yeah, but there was they kind of loved the fact that there was that content-free painting. You know, it was a critique of formalism, really, to say that because you're endorsed by the communist Chinese, that kind of indicts. Formalism as this kind of, by being content free, they never have to worry about censoring you, you know.
Okay.
So you're free to be content free. What do you think of that? But the academy's like that too, you know. I don't want you to. You're not teaching anymore though, are you?
No.
No, you're free. You're now. United States versus France. Not in soccer. I mean, fine, you can kick our ass in soccer, but how's life in Brittany? How is life in Brittany versus the pace of life in Los Angeles?
Calm and quiet, and
does that benefit?
Isolated.
Does that benefit your work?
You know, I have to say it does benefit my work because I've always worked at my own pace.
But does this quicken the pace?
This here?
No. Does being living in France quicken the pace because there's nothing else to do, or
No. It just makes me think a lot slower and makes me consider what I see, what I live within. Not that I wasn't doing that here in LA, but in LA I had certain responsibilities, such as I would be teaching a few times a week.
Oh, you're busy.
You know, I was much more busy, and my blood pressure was much higher.
In LA?
Yeah.
Brittany, no problem?
No.
And it's not just the wine?
No, it's just the calm. I find the calm to be sometimes depressing, just because there's no action, in quotes.
Yeah.
But I look at what I produce, and I'm pretty happy.
You're happier with it now?
And you know, at the end of the year, there's all this stuff, and it seems that it's arrived at almost spontaneously rather than self-consciously. And I know it's very self-conscious, but it feels like it's just grown organically.
But and a lot of these parts of the art world do make one self-conscious, don't they? These like academia, the institutions.
I think so. I mean,
this guy got a show with that. Why you get self-conscious about not having that in your painting, and all of a sudden that's in your painting?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. When I was showing a lot in the 80s, prior to that, I felt very easy and comfortable about giving a drawing to friends of mine and trading with friends of mine and you know. Once I started showing it, I became very self-conscious about even giving a little sketch out of a notepad.
It might be worth something.
Well, yeah,
a big collector might want that one, and I just gave it away to that loser.
No, I didn't think they were losers. But, you know...
they were losers.
that kind of attitude made me quit the art world in 5 years later. I just stopped.
Wow.
And I pulled out of my gallery.
What gallery was that?
That was Jan Baum Gallery.
Jan Baum?
Yeah.
I saw Jan Baum.
She's still alive,
isn't she? And the doctor at the art fair. I saw him walking. I said, "Oh my God, they're both still alive."
Yeah.
And they were a little slower and a little shrunken, but there they were.
I bet he had his jewelry on.
He did. Yes. He did indeed. Wow, that's so weird. I didn't say anything to anybody. It was like, wow, Jan Baum. When the LA art world was 3 galleries, Jan Baum was one of them.
Yeah.
And now what must it be like to walk in that convention center with 75 galleries from around the world?
Well, I think it's important for most artists to skip the contemporary art galleries and go to museums and see old masters.
The old masters.
Yeah. Get away from those white walls and let's look at some colored walls that have
You had a gallery
intensity.
With yellow walls. Tell me about the yellow walls.
Well, it wasn't really a gallery, but it was a program that had one single work by one artist on a yellow wall.
And was it every Friday or once a month?
Every Friday, every second Friday in Atwater at a bookstore. Wow. And it was a wonderful yellow wall that we painted. A French guy who paints rooms as his art practice painted this yellow wall, and it was perfect. And I would have all my friends show every other week. and it was great.
Wow.
It was great. We'd have basically an opening or a, what do you call it, a social gathering.
Wow.
And it was great.
And you did that for a few years, right?
I did that for almost 2 years, yes.
And then you left LA.
And then we left LA, we went to France.
But you're back now.
Yes.
But you're just visiting.
I'm visiting because I'm having a show that opens on the 21st of January.
January 21st, Saturday, January 21st.
At the Craig Hall Gallery.
Craig Kroll at the part of Bergamot that didn't just get sold. And so everybody's going to be at the protest downtown. And then they're going to go to Pierre Picot's opening.
That's right. We're going to take the tram back from downtown to Bergamot Station.
He's from France. He called it a tram. Pierre Picot, thanks for being on Modern Art Blitz. My longtime friend and a great artist.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back with Betty Brown. Fucking awesome, dude.